Onion Cycles podcast is about thought provoking, emotion evoking, action driven, step by step guidance to explore the unique, glorious, and wonderful ocean of your being. Because healing is a multi layered process of getting to know oneself. Become the self empowered empiric researcher by discovering the unique layers of your existence. With your host, Nadine Alma, welcome to the Holistic Healing Hub. Welcome to the Onion Cycles podcast. Sonder, noun. The realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness, an epic story that continues invisibly around you, like an anthill sprawling deep underground with elaborate passageways to thousands of other lives that you'll never know existed, in which you might appear only once as an extra, sipping coffee in the background, as a blur of traffic passing on the highway, as a lighted window at dusk. Hello and welcome back, my beloved onions. What I just read to you is the definition of Sonder. That is a word coined by John Koenig, and he runs the blog The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, which now is available as a book as well, and in which he defines universal emotions that don't have an official name. The reason why I bring this up in today's episode is one that is inextricably connected to healing, because we are all part of this being life. And because we're all part of it, but there are so many of us, we sometimes forget that we are all part of this. And Sonder describes a wonderful, beautiful, mysterious, and at times overwhelming feeling that make us realize we're not alone. On the contrary, there's a lot of us. And like the definition explained, each one of us has a richness, a fullness to their lives that we can hardly grasp. And the reason why this concept is a definite part of our healing journey is not only for compassion and kindness towards others. It is also a reminder that our pain is not the only pain, and that so often we live inside our own heads and forget that there is an outside world with people that may go through the exact same thing that you go through. Obviously, we're all individuals that are different and unique. What we have to offer, how we see the world, the perceptions, the mindsets, the thoughts, the belief systems, the patterns, the routines. And yet, this word gives us access to shedding a layer of shame, of stigma, of hiding our true self, of masking because we think we're not good enough, not worthy enough, don't have enough interesting thoughts to share. Sonder reminds us that curiosity and an open heart can pave the way, or one way, to healing ourselves. I believe that knowing oneself is the only way to have an impact on the world. and have an impact coming from truth, coming from grace, coming from being genuinely caring and giving. I believe true giving and true unconditional love only can come from a place of healing, and healing can only occur through knowing oneself. So, Sonder describes to me the possibility this opens up to all of us. That being that we understand we're all in the same boat or on the same planet. So, only by taking each other by the hand can we walk each other home to a place where we all feel welcomed, where we all feel warmth in our hearts and souls. And this might sound rather utopian and random to bring up, but to me personally, this word describes a pillar within my own healing journey that I would not want to miss at all. I didn't have a word back then, but that someone else came up with a word for that exact feeling just shows me the universal consciousness that envelops us all. The big can be seen in the small and the other way around. With this perspective, Gaia, or Mother Earth, may be understood as a collective consciousness of us all existing within her, much like individual bodies are made up by every limb and bone and organ and cell. So our body may not be within our awareness all the time, but nonetheless it lives a life of its own. You don't tell a skin cell to replicate. You don't tell your lungs how to inflate and deflate. You don't tell any scrape to heal or blood cells where to bring the vitamins or the energy you need to go about your day. So I believe as above, so below, as within, so without, the whole earth, the whole universe really is just a mirror of us. And so, from that point of view, when everything is alive and made up of frequency and vibration, everything is connected. That then means, when we come back to the word Sonder, that there are ways that this word can have a huge impact on our understanding of how we navigate within this world. So, for example, one point of view would be to look out while sipping a coffee and the traffic passes by and people hurry and go left and right, and a kid is crying and a dog is barking and someone is honking. You look outside that window and you feel overwhelmed, overwhelmed by the sheer endlessness of people out there. And that is very valid. So, coming back to what we discussed earlier in this podcast, is be gentle with yourself on implementing something new that you've learned. But what this also means is that there is another point of view on the other end of the spectrum that opens up the possibility that every single action you take can be in the spirit of oneness, in the spirit of kindness, in the spirit of gentleness, in the spirit of what you do for yourself, you do to yourself and to others. Meaning that the reflection of the person that you are is shown by the actions that you take, and the self-love you have for yourself is shown by how much care you give and offer to others. And that doesn't need to be a big thing. Just reflect on the last time that a stranger smiled at you, or someone at the office gave you a compliment, or some child picked a flower for you or drew a picture for you. It may be a small gesture, it can be a big gesture, but every single gesture can turn things around for someone you don't even know. So, the extra that you are sipping coffee in the background, walking out of that coffee shop, could stop, notice something, and give a compliment themselves. You never know what that does to the other person. What I mean is that once you realize the power your actions have, you come to the conclusion that every single gesture you make is actually impacting someone else. And by keeping Sonder in the back of your mind, you know also that if someone doesn't treat you kindly, is not gentle with your feelings or your persona, you can forgive, you can forget. You don't need to lay weight on it because you know that this person does the best they can in the situation they are in with the knowledge that they have and the spiritual, mental, and emotional baggage they have. We all have bad days. And yes, we all have a choice to, especially in those bad days, live up to our expectations of becoming the best version of ourselves. But there are days when we don't want to smile, and there are days when we want to smile. And Sonder, in its essence, shows us the inextricable connection of woven fabric that is humanity, and that we are one of those threads, and that we indeed can be rough, we can be smooth, we can go under, we can go over, we can go around, we can do something, we can have an impact. We are one part of holding this whole piece of fabric together, even if we feel small, like one ant or one drop of water in the ocean. The ocean still is made up of water. And to conclude this episode, I want to leave you with another one of those words out of the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. I will leave the link to the dictionary, to the blog online down in the description. You should really go and check that out because immerse yourself in that. It's just absolutely beautiful. The second term I want to leave you with, to me, is connected with Sonder and just describes what we've been discussing in this episode. It is watashiato. It's the curiosity about the impact you've had on the lives of the people you know, wondering which of your harmless actions or long forgotten words might have altered the plot of their stories in ways you'll never get to see. With all of that said, let me open my heart to you and thank you for being here in this shared space, for committing to loving yourself and healing yourself and knowing yourself, for never giving up on yourself, for keeping up the good work of searching for that inner light and continuing to being your unmasked, unhinged, beautiful, graceful, wonderful, unique self. I do appreciate you being here so very much, as you could spend your time with anything else, but you decide to spend it here, invest it in yourself, in your healing journey. And I see you, I understand you, and I love you. See you on the next episode, my beloved onions.